networking event going on tonight, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to get these two together. I would guess, Billy, other than you and your dad, you and Coach Dooley may go back about as far as anybody else in your life. But I thought I would start and maybe ask Coach Dooley first what he remembers as Billy as a player, and then let's ask Billy what he remembers of Coach Dooley as a coach, and then we'll take your questions. And if you'll raise your hand with the questions, we'll get one of these wireless floor mics to you. Coach?
Okay, well, Billy, I remember him first of all as a quarterback in high school, at Dykes High School. Went over to see Billy, and it was pretty obvious he was not a quarterback. But
he didn't tell me that.
but what was obvious that he was a football player, and I still remember the big old hands. He had pretty good hands early on, and so I recall that he was going to play. And then the question is, where? And I think that has always been the case with Billy. I've said many times that he was my 60-minute football player, because he could play so many different positions. And we started him as an example on offense. Back then, the freshman teams were separate, and we had a heck of a freshman team.
You did?
You know.
Yes, sir.
Probably the second best recruiting class in the 25 years that I was here. Because in addition to Billy, we had Bill Stanfield and Jake Scott, just to name a few, so it was a pretty good class. And so he was an end. We didn't call them tight ends or split ends because you had to do both. And he could do both. He could block at the line of scrimmage, and he particularly could block outside. Pretty good size wide receiver, and could catch the ball pretty daggone good. The few times that we did throw, and he made, as I recall, 2 great touchdown catches. One against Kentucky, where both of them went up in the end zone. He was able to use his competitive spirit and those big hands and wrestle the ball away and ended up with it. And then made a great catch in the Cotton Bowl in 1966. And then we moved him to defense because we needed a defensive end. And we had a guy named Dennis Hughes that was here. And I didn't know if Billy was going to come back his senior year, because Billy, as y'all remember, you got cut from the side in spring practice.
Yes, sir.
And back in those days, you could block people like that. You can't do it now, but he got a nasty blow to his knee. And I was really concerned about whether he was going to come back, but he came back, was on that great defensive team, and made all conference as a defensive end. So that's just a quick overview of Billy as a college player.
Billy?
What am I supposed to talk about? I was listening.
What do you remember about Coach as a coach?
Well, let's talk about the championships.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I remember Coach Dooley recruiting me, becoming friends with my parents, and coming over to the house as the coaches would in that day. And it was pretty clear from the very beginning that his serious demeanor, which he's famous for, was pretty obvious even then. And he started telling me, I recall specifically, the players who were, I guess, verbally at that point, lining up to go to Georgia in his, I think, first full recruiting class. Is that right, Coach?
First full, yeah.
First full recruiting class. And the names were legend. I mean, there was Bill Stanfield and so many great players from the state of Georgia. Jake Scott from prep school that everybody knew of. He was recruited by everybody in the country. Brad Johnson, so many good high school players, all of whom I'd either played against or very much aware of. And so, he was persuasive. I had a little background at Georgia, a natural connection, and wanted to play on a great team. So that's what got me here. And think, Coach, thanks to you, I was never disappointed.
Fumble.
Yeah, we had fun. We had great teams throughout my 3 years on the varsity, and great experiences.
That team won 2 championships, 66 and in 68. And we were pretty good. We were very good. We had one of our coaches was John Donaldson. John Donaldson knew Billy's dad. They played together. Yeah. And John was kind of our man in South Georgia, but we kind of pulled him out of South Georgia to come up and help in the recruiting of Billy because of his connection with his dad. And I really knew his dad before I knew Billy, really. Knew his dad because he was a football official, and he was very active at the Touchdown Club in Atlanta, and I'd come over back when I was at Auburn as an assistant coach, so I knew him, and it's a great combination of father-son. I've seen a lot of great father-son combinations, but never quite like Porter and Billy Payne.
Let's, y'all getting the sound okay? Billy, you want to say 1, 2, 3?
Yes, sir. Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can move it up on his lapel a little bit further.
1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4.
Okay, let's raise your hand if you have a question for either, and if you will, when we get a mic to you, if you will identify yourself and where you're from. Hands up.
Hi, Scott Michaud with the Augusta Chronicle. You know, when you were in school here, y'all didn't have any kind of facilities like the one that your name is going to be attached to and your father's name will be attached to. Can you sort of describe what it was like here back then and how this thing maybe exceeds your wildest expectations you might have had when you were a player?
Sure, Scott. You know, never even imagined there would ever be an indoor practice facility. I remember Stegman at that time was relatively new, very new. And, you know, on rainy days, we would go in there and just mess around in the basketball thing. Nothing other than staying out of the rain, really, and walk through a few plays. But never even remotely thought that you could practice football in an indoor arena. And I think dispositive of that is when we went to Houston to play in the Astrodome when I was a junior. I think our first experience in an indoor football stadium, and I remember, unfortunately, we got beat by an inferior team, and the reason was that we were all just looking around, just couldn't believe what technology had done, and we got beat by a good team and a great running back, Paul Gibson, who was an amazing player. So anyway, facilities have come a long way. I'm glad to see that the University of Georgia is staying at the top. I commend the university and the athletic department. It's very important. You recruit great players for a lot of reasons, one of which is the environment where they spend most of their time. And this is not a bad place to spend 12 hours a day.
You know, at that Astrodome, is what it was, Muhammad Ali was working out there. And remember Dr. Ayers?
Yes, sir.
He loved Muhammad, so he spent most of the time over there. But he was, I think, Cassius Clay at the time. And facilities, you can go back into history and leaps and bounds that you don't have them, and all of a sudden you have them, and all of a sudden you're proud of what you have, and then you look around and somebody's passed you, and then by that time you got to redo, and so it's been a series of that. So we did move into the Coliseum, which was big in those days, and the Coliseum is where we had walkthroughs as an indoor facility. And the Coliseum, if I remember, had 176 leaks. we had 176 buckets around whenever it rained to catch the water. But we did get an athletic dome, if you remember. That was big.
Yes, sir.
Back in those days. And we felt like we had to have that in even to try to compete in the conference because they'd done away with athletic domes at Georgia before we came. Alabama had one, Auburn had one, and if you're going to compete, you better have one. And then within 2 years, we increased the stadium considerably. We double-decked it. And so we were always fighting to try to get ahead of the next person facility-wise, and it's still the case. And I'd say today, nobody's got any better than Georgia.
Raise your hand.
Hello, Van Earl Wright, WSB Television. Coach Dooley, what was your reaction when Mr. Payne called you up and said he's going to bring the Olympics to the state of Georgia?
Well, he didn't exactly call me up. Tell me that. He said he wanted to share something with me very confidentially at the time. And I still remember that and will never forget it because he stuttered around a little bit and finally said, "What is on your mind?" He said, "Coach, I've saved enough money. I want to bring the Olympics to Atlanta, Georgia." And I never will forget it because at the time he was thinking, Atlanta, Georgia, you know, because who knew where Atlanta was internationally at the time. And besides that, they just had the Olympics in Los Angeles. They don't bring it back to the same place. Besides that, it was the centennial of the Olympics. And certainly Athens, Greece would win it. And besides that, no city has ever won it on the first bid.
But other than that,
There was a lot of great things going, but I thought to myself, I said, Billy, old Mix may have caught up with you, but I didn't say that. I said, oh, that's great. How can I help? Well, you know, sharing that dream with me is one thing, but trying to share it with, trying to get sponsors is another thing, but thank goodness to some very close friends who kind of helped the thing get going. Y'all beat out Minneapolis, wasn't it, to earn?
the domestic, right, they were the last.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and to be the mid city. And I was in Tokyo. That day, that weekend, that was whatever it was. It was
You cried.
Yeah, oh, I did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hands up.
When you sort of look back at your life and the different chapters of the Georgia chapter, your business, real estate law chapter, the Olympics, Augusta National, and sort of on chapter 5 now, retirement. How would you describe this phase of your life and how you've enjoyed it?
Well, I felt a little guilty at the Masters this year. I actually enjoyed it and felt like, you know, historically it's work, and then work some more. And this time I'm having fun with my grandchildren for the first time in 17 years. And it was really fun. I felt a little guilty. So that has changed. As far as where I am career-wise, obviously retired. I'm still the executive chairman of the real estate company that my son and I own, Centennial Investments, and it's doing quite well. And you know, occasionally they need my opinion, so that's hopefully I'm helpful there. Other than that, I promised Martha that I would not make any major steps or dives for a while, and so I'm in that promised slow period where I'm thinking about what I want to do. And so far, the only thing that I've really accelerated is fishing, which is my favorite of all sports, is bass fishing. But there'll be something, and she knows it and I know it, so we'll wait and see.
Other questions? Raise your hand.
How about your accomplishments as chairman of Augusta National, from building the practice range, the new press center, the Berkman's area? You're accompanying first female member, and then drive, chip and putt, so many accomplishments. Does anyone stand out to you?
First of all, Van Earl, you know I'm no longer chairman, so I don't speak for the club, so I'll answer that in a way that the chairman won't get mad at me. And that is, the one that stands out, this is why he won't get mad at me, is that my best decision was naming Fred Ridley, selecting him as my successor. So he won't get mad at me telling you that, I promise. He's just fantastic, and you know, oh man, he has so many great things planned for the future. I think you're going to see Augusta stay on a very positive track, upward momentum that I hope we've established the last 11 years, and a lot of great things to come under his leadership.
You know, if you know Billy's background beyond playing on the football field while he was in Georgia, he was a recipient of an incredible number of academic awards. By that, the National Football Foundation Scholar Athlete. He also was an NCAA Scholar Athlete. He also won the Teddy Roosevelt Award, which is the highest honor that the NCAA gives to anyone. And that's in every field that's an athlete. And then he was a scholar athlete here. He was vice president of the student body. He went to law school and coached a little.
Yes, sir.
Well, he did that because we have a graduate assistant.
$15 a month.
All right, so he's got quite a record, and was early on. The leadership qualities were so evident. I'll tell you a story. Coaches always have challenges, and with that many great players, we naturally had some challenges. And one of the challenges was a most spirited athlete, who's probably as good an athlete that's ever played at Georgia, named Jake Scott. And Jake was probably ahead of his time as a free spirit. So in being a free spirit, there was somewhat more of a challenge than just a normal student athlete. And at one time, I had gotten so mad at him, I had disciplined him a couple of times and so the last thing that when he exhibited his free spirit, I'd had him. I mean, I was getting ready to make the move to get Jack in. So the seniors came and said, "Coach, can we meet?" I said, "Yeah." So Billy became the spokesperson of this meeting of the seniors about Jake and a recommendation to me as to what we should do. So I remember him coming to me and saying, "Coach, we don't like what Jake did. We don't like his free spirit. But we want to win the championship. And please give Jake one more chance. We can't win it without him." So you're right. So thanks to that.
I think I said that if you kick him off the team, we all quit.
Billy Blaine coming with Fox 5 in Atlanta. Two-part question for you.
Yes, sir.
One, how gratifying to come back to your university and see a building with your name on it is one. And secondly, as an alumni, your thoughts about where the Georgia program is and the success it's having right now.
Thank you. Extremely honored to be associated with my dad, and you know, unofficially we're associated with each other for so many reasons, mostly because of the love we shared for each other. My dad was only 18 years older than me, so you know, in a lot of respects, he was my dad and he was like my older brother as well. So it's a great honor, and to think that it'll be there forever is very special, and my whole family is quite honored. What was the second? Questions?
About the program where it's at right now,
Oh.
as an alumni, just how you feel.
You know, I had more fun coming and watching the team last year. I think Kirby Smart he's not only reinvigorated the team, you know, he's made us all so happy and so proud to be Georgia Bulldogs. And it's just so much more fun when you're competitive in every game. This is the first time ever that I can remember. Every day I'm getting calls from, you know, scores of people. Did you see who committed today? Did you see who we signed today? Do you know how many 5-stars we have? Do you know that Alabama only has X? And it's just an amazing positive spirit that is over the entire football program, and it just makes us all proud. And I'm proud to be a Georgia Bulldog, and I know it's because of Kirby's passion and his work ethic.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Ryan with the Athens Banner Herald. When you think of everything you've done, you know, you get this accomplishment or, you know, recognition, where does that rank as far as everything that's happened in your life?
You know, I haven't thought of that because I've never ranked it. You know, you live every day, do the best you can, and make a lot of friends, a lot of good things happen in your life, and this is certainly one of those. Very special because two reasons. It's a permanent association with my father that everybody will see and will be aware of. And second, it is reflective of the generosity of a lot of my friends, so many of whom had zero connection to the University of Georgia. So I am particularly grateful that we now officially welcome them as Georgia Bulldogs.
Billy, a couple questions. I know you can't speak on behalf of the club, so you're no longer the chairman. Can you speak personally to how proud you are that during your tenure, the first female members were admitted to Augusta National?
Of course. And more specifically, those individuals to which you refer are great friends of mine. And I am as proud of them as I am of any other members who 100 members that joined while I was chairman. And as I said in the interview, my retirement, all our lady members are great, and I suspect our chairman will continue the momentum that we've established over the past several years.
Also, too, I know it's been 22 years now, but how do you look back any differently on what happened in Atlanta, the Olympics, and just you think the legacy of those games?
Yeah, well, I've never had but one opinion, and that is the Olympics is about people working together in a particular community, in our case, a city and state. The objective is to welcome your guests and to show them a wonderful time, and this was an opportunity for us truly to introduce the American South to the rest of the world, and I think we did that very positively and very effectively. And you know, the regret I have of the Atlanta Games, of course, was the bombing at Centennial Park. But you know, as Andy Young said, out of our greatest tragedy, the bombing, emerged our greatest triumph, and that is the determination and the passion to continue this great celebration of humanity which had been taking place. So it was a great experience.
Can I want a little follow-up on that? You know, and some of the criticism of the games too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look back now, though, again, with the passage of time, when you see what's around Centennial Park, and also the cost of some of the
Yes.
of Olympics since then, that
Sure.
maybe Atlanta gets a little bit of a bum rap?
Well, you know, the criticism of the games was very superficial. You know, a couple of transportation issues. The other ones, I'm not even, they weren't even substantive. They were, and you know, and when you have the audacity to undertake something that big, criticism is a part of it. There's never been an Olympic Games that didn't have similar criticism. And so, you know, it had no lasting effect on me at all.
And don't forget that Athens was a great part of the Olympics.
It was indeed.
And
Took down your edge.
those that came really enjoyed the experience here because it was so wide open. Because the campus was wide open. And of course, we had,
It was awesome.
had the medal games and then rhythmic gymnastics, and then Billy called later and said, "How about preliminary volleyball?"
Some of that.
Absolutely. Come on. So we really had a great experience in Athens.
Just about the whole 2 weeks going on up here.
Coach Dooley, how about some of the calls you received when word got out that the hedges would have to be removed from the soccer?
Well, from the purist, I mean, I did have some concerns. Playing soccer.
Death threats.
Outside of that. Then, of course, this was the first the women's soccer being played in the stadium, and that was new for some of the purists as well. So, but it was a blessing in disguise because our botanists found that the hedges had nematodes, and because of that, it was a blessing. So we took the cuttings from the hedges and we stored them and replanted them as the sons and daughters of the original hedge, which is hedges 2, which is what's in there now. So they had worked out, and I think the people that came, somebody said that they were watching this game of soccer, and big, football fans and Georgia fans, and said they watched it for 10 minutes, and he said, "Damn, they still hadn't thrown the ball." But we had a great time with it. It was an incredible experience.
Okay, next question.
You mentioned your friends who stepped up to contribute for this naming. Can you talk about some of the ones who will be here tonight and some of the guests and dignitaries who are going to be at the ceremony tonight?
Yeah, I don't think that would be appropriate, Scott, to other than say I'm grateful. I think I'm delighted, of course, that Jack Nicholas will be here tonight, as well as Jim Nance is going to MC, and I'm very honored that they chose to come. But as far as the donors, I don't think I would do that.
Will the current chairman at Augusta National?
Yes, sir, he will be here. I should have. Don't tell him I forgot him.
Now you made him mad.
Yeah. He'll be here.
All right, let's take maybe a couple more questions. Anybody? Got time for 1 or 2 more? Everybody good? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.